Hello, everyone. Good evening. My name is Susan Reyna Guerrero, and welcome to CAN TV. It's a live hotline call-in number. I'm here today with Teresa Valek from Beacon Therapeutic. The live call-in number is 312-738-1060. We represent Beacon Therapeutic. It's a non-for-profit social service agency that's been in existence since 1968. It was founded by a group of parents trying to find special education services for their children. And since 1968, we've really grown and evolved to a multi-service organization. Teresa today is going to be talking to us about our Little IOP program and some of our other early childhood programs. But before I do that, I'd like to post some information, some contact information on Beacon. We do have 4 different locations. Our business office is located on 103rd in Longwood, 1912 West 103rd. Our Longwood campus, which is the program that houses our elementary school program and the Little IOP program that Teresa will be talking about today, is on Longwood, 10650 South Longwood. Our Calumet Park campus is where our high school is located, and our Homeless Outreach Services program is located at our newest location on Western Avenue. Today I'm delighted to have Teresa with us. Teresa is an LCSW. She's our early childhood clinical manager and is in charge of a whole myriad of programs. But today she'll be talking about our Little IOP program. So welcome, Teresa.
Thanks.
I'm glad you're here today. Perhaps you can tell us a little bit about your background before we start talking about our programs.
Sure. Well, my background is in early childhood development. I started out knowing that I wanted to work with kids and went to the University of Illinois and got a degree in human development and family studies. But when I finished that, I realized I didn't just want to work with kids. I wanted to work with kids that were really difficult. So I went into social work and got my master's in social work, and have always ended up in the early childhood field since I graduated.
And how long have you been at Beacon now?
I've been at Beacon a little over a year, close to a year and a half now.
Feels like a long time.
It does.
Right?
It feels like much longer.
But I know since you've been at Beacon, our early childhood programs really have flourished and really have grown. So we're grateful to have you at Beacon. Tell us a little bit about the Little IOP program, which we're very excited about. And that's been around a long time, but I know since you've been with us, you've truly developed that. So tell me a little bit about who we serve in our Little IOP program.
Right. Well, our intensive outpatient program was created to treat children who had been hospitalized, psychiatrically hospitalized, or are at risk of hospitalization. So originally, our shelter outreach program was noticing that a lot of children that were homeless were having a lot of behavioral and emotional issues, and they were needing a place to be maintained in programs. And they were struggling in preschools and Head Starts and daycares, and so they decided we really needed a place to prevent further deterioration of these, and the Little IOP was created, and it's a great program that now other outside sources know about us, and children who are struggling in programs come, and we can help them get back on the right track, hopefully start school and be in good shape by the time they're ready for school.
I'm going to put some pictures up actually of some of the additional resources that we offer. So why don't you describe a little bit about the programming that goes on in Little IOP?
Sure. Well, we have 4 different milieu groups, 3 different units, but 1 large unit with 2 groups, and a milieu therapist leads the children through the day. We also have a lot of other services in place for our children as well. That's a picture of Dr. Serpata, our psychiatrist, who works with all of the parents and children, observing in the milieus, consulting with the staff, and can offer medication for children who may need help at a more serious level, controlling and handling emotions.
I love this picture.
Yeah, and that's a picture. We do a lot of life skills with the children, so teaching them just, how to function on a day-to-day basis. That's important, especially in early childhood, focusing on development and learning normal developmental skills, even though they're in a treatment program, is important. So things like brushing their teeth and taking care of themselves is very important for them.
And then I know you mentioned a little bit about the significant histories of our kids. And, philosophically, what type of approaches do we use with the children? What would be our philosophy of care in working with the kids?
Well, that's something that, especially since I've come on, I feel like we've turned the program to more of an attachment-based model. Controlling behavior and teaching them how to handle things is important, but learning to feel safe in your world, learning to connect with other people, learning that it's okay to trust adults and feel safe and secure to explore the world around them is really what's important in all of child development.
I know one of, you mentioned earlier milieus, and I think that's a commonly known term within the clinical arena.
Right.
But when you're describing the milieu environment, what are you speaking of?
Well, it looks a lot like a little preschool classroom, and I think most people who don't know that we're doing therapy there could come and see it, and it would look like most daycare preschool classrooms. It's really kind of a holding environment to provide therapy to children that we can have control over, create a lot of structure to provide our services in. And it's usually done in group settings, and it's done on a daily basis. We go 5 days a week. So
I'd like to remind everyone this is the live call-in show. My name is Susan Reyna Guerrero, and I'm from Beacon Therapeutic. And today we have Teresa Valek, who's the Early Childhood Clinical Manager at Beacon. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to call in. The number is 312-738-1060. Mention a little bit about the staff. What type of staff does the program hire to work with the children?
Sure. Well, most of our milieu therapists come from some sort of social service or counseling background. Some do have some special ed training in other areas as well, because we do think it's important that although we're treating the children for mental health issues, they're getting normal education experiences. It would be a disservice to send them off to kindergarten and not have them know their colors and ABCs, and that's important in building their self-esteem and a lot of the emotional work we do. So we like to combine both fields together to try to create the best environment for the kids. We also have a health educator on staff who provides health, like she created the toothbrushing program, and also works with all of the parents to improve their health at home, their doctor's visits, making sure they have their immunizations in check. We have family support workers and our psychiatrist. We have a lot of different staff supporting the program.
And the children are ages 3 to 5.
Yes.
And how is the program funded?
The program is funded through Medicaid. We bill the state for intensive outpatient funding.
And I am aware, that in order for the children to be eligible, they do need to have some type of diagnosable psychiatric diagnosis. And I know that's a concern when we're looking at little children, but I think we're also understanding the needs for these services are really based on what the children are presenting.
Right.
So a majority of the children really have struggled in the very traditional Head Starts, daycare programs, and our goal is to get them into something less restrictive.
Definitely.
So how long would you say some of our children are with the program?
We've had some children who are there for 6 months. Usually a more likely goal is a year. In the therapeutic process, it takes time for children to feel safe and comfortable and really settle in. So a lot of kids start our program and they're looking pretty good, and then when they finally feel safe and secure enough, that's when the real work starts to happen. So that's when they can process and work through some of their trauma histories and issues. So a year is a really good length for a child to be in a program. It's always our goal to get them out sooner, and we definitely have kids who we've met their needs and they move on and they do great in their kindergartens.
Now, the children, they come in daily, and so we provide transportation and those services?
Yes. It's a very unique to, I think, Beacon's program.
Put some pictures on as you're talking.
It's very unique that Beacon's program actually has vans that will go pick up the children every day and bring the children home every day, which is a great resource for parents who usually do not have cars or access to public transportation.
Apparently we have a caller.
Yes, hi. This seems like a fabulous program, and I know with all the state funding cuts, is there anything people could do to try to get the state to keep this kind of funding active because it's so necessary?
Well, it's interesting. Currently, there's some pending rule modifications that, if prevail, essentially will, eliminate the funding for this type of program. And it's something, it's under the intensive outpatient program model, which works with children ages actually 3 through 18. We also have a big IOP program that works with the older children. So currently we are we're looking and understanding what we can do, and I think it's something that the community at large is really going to have to take a look at. If funding goes away for these types of programs, we won't be able to continue to provide the service. So, right now we're kind of rallying our parents, we're rallying other individuals to make sure that the state knows that these are valuable resources that can't be done away with. So, we are looking for community partners that can help us do this. So if you're interested in joining us with this battle that we're going to take on, actually, feel free to contact us. I'll put that contact information on again, because I think it is something that we are going to need the community to step up and recognize that this is a valuable service and a needed service for these children who really can't access more traditional resources that are out there for the 3 to 5 year old. And I think, Teresa, you'd mentioned earlier, there aren't very many other providers that are doing this type of work.
No, unfortunately, especially in early childhood, I don't know of many and have really looked because we have families who move outside of our area and we can't reach them anymore. And it's hard to find places to connect them with that can provide the same kind of services that Beacon's been able to provide. And I know other similar programs funding has been cut or they've cut funding in half. And it's really been a struggle to keep programs, especially in early childhood, funded and running at these times.
Yeah. One of the other components to the little IOP program is the Mommy and Me piece. So I'm going to put some pictures up associated with that. Can you describe that a little bit?
Sure. Well, Mommy and Me has been around for a few years now, but we're always working to improve it, and our moms, I think, love it. It's the time that the parents can actually come in, learn some skills that we're teaching their kids on a daily basis, and learn how to do some of those things at home. You know, right now in the field of mental health treatment, incorporating parents into the treatment is one of the most important things, and research is showing that's the most effective way to help heal children. So getting our parents in to learn some skills and actually be in the units with their kids and see what they do every day is so important to the children's treatment.
And I know we also try to do some of the very traditional things. So I know the kids go to the pumpkin patch. And,
yes.
And they get Easter baskets for Easter and those kinds of activities. What are some of the other supports that that Beacon offers to Little IOP? You mentioned a health educator, psychiatry. What are the other family supports?
Right. Well, one other support that we've been doing through this past year is we've been in a learning collaborative where our staff is getting trained in child-parent psychotherapy, which is a great resource. On top of the IOP, a lot of our kids are also having a worker go into the home and actually work with the parent and child together, teaching the parents skills how to talk to their children, how to respond to their children. A lot of our children do have histories of trauma, have observed, domestic violence or abuse histories, and they can actually learn to talk about that with their parent instead of just doing that in Little IOP. And that's an excellent service that we're hoping to get out to even more of our families.
Well, I know we've been pursuing grant support, and we've been fortunate we've gotten a number of grants that are targeting those kinds of services. I do know one of the other programs that we've recently launched is our Early Head Start.
Right.
New initiative for us. So maybe describe a little bit about what that's involved at this point.
Right. Well, our Early Head Start program is a home visiting program for actually prenatal, so even pregnant moms up to when they turn 3 years old, to really work on early development and attachment with parents. So what's really exciting about that is these are some of the families that might be at risk for mental health issues in the future, and we can start from birth making sure that their needs are met, their developmental and secure needs or environments are safe, so that hopefully we've prevented a lot of the issues that can develop in low-income, high-risk populations.
So what are the services involved? I know it's home-based as opposed to center-based.
So our home visitors actually go out for 90 minutes for a session, meet with a mom and child. They bring games and activities. They may read stories together. They may teach their parents how to sing a lullaby to their child, or play, peekaboo, but things that some parents don't know is important to children in their early development, or just help parents talk about ways they discipline their kids. It can be really tricky, and a lot of these children are stressed out children who can have pretty extreme behavior, so it's important that the parents learn how to handle those kind of things.
Understand we have a caller? Yes?
You mentioned in-kind donations. I was just wondering if you can give some examples of some in-kind donations that the program would need.
Well, we're working with children. So, and, actually there's multiple ways we accept donations. Clearly, many times we're in need of diapers. You mentioned the home visitors. And the home visitors will bring in, diapers and milk and those kinds of basic things. But there's also the need for, other resources. Maybe can you describe some of the needs within the Little IOP of what?
Sure. Our parents love, usually at Mommy and Me when they're there, we do like to put out different clothes, or not usually toys. We do books. We're encouraging literacy within the families, and they love to be able to go through that and find that, because a lot of times they don't have the money for things like that. And there are days parents call and say, I can't send my child to the program because I don't have clean clothes for them. So especially things like that are really important to our families, and they really look forward to those donations.
Some of the other things that we've done is that we have we call them fresh start kits. And essentially it's opportunities for some of our families when they move into a new apartment, because the majority of these families, actually should be stated, are homeless or at risk of homelessness. And so one of the services that we offer is helping them, along with case management and the therapy, is to move into their own homes. And when we're able to do that, they are in need of things like buckets and brooms and sheets and towels and dishes and those kinds of things. So we do accept donations for fresh start kits or little fresh start kits, which are kits essentially like new baby kits. So it's it's a stroller, it's a car seat, it's those kinds of things that babies need. Another way to help actually is that we do have our upcoming Christmas fundraiser. It's our 18th annual Christmas fundraiser, and where we actually honor several individuals. It's always the first December. It's always the first Friday in December, and it's a wonderful event. It's located at our Longwood campus, and usually we have anywhere from 300 to 400 people attend the event, and we raise about 60 or so thousand. So we are looking for guests to come to the program, to come to the event that day. It is loads of fun. We always say it's a fundraiser in addition to an event. So we have a caller.
Mm-hmm.
Hello.
This is Jonah, and I actually go to the school.
Oh, hi, Jonah. Are you at the elementary school or at the high school, or?
I used to go to the elementary one, and now I go to the high school one. But it's been very beneficial.
Really? Mm-hmm. It's wonderful to hear that, Jonah. I'm glad. Mm-hmm. I'm glad. I'll make sure we let the teachers know.
Yep.
You should come by and visit us sometime.
Yeah. Well, thanks.
Well, thank you for calling. We're still where we're at, so come by and visit. Thank you. So, Teresa, what do you see some additional opportunities for ideas that you have for Beacon and how Beacon continue to grow?
Wow. Well, we're constantly planning for new ideas in the program. I'd love to be able to offer services for different levels of need. Right now, we're primarily providing for the intensive outpatient, the most needy kids. But, it would be nice to have some step down and other ranges, maybe not as intensive of services, but that can be provided to the parents and families. Having, space to bring the parents in and do a lot more work with them would be really exciting.
Yeah, I think you're describing some of our other programs,
right,
and I think
right.
One of the other programs, and I'm going to list all of our programs there, are outpatient services. And right. I think one thing that Beacon has really strived over the years is to develop a wraparound model of service delivery where all the programs can kind of feed into each other. Mm-hmm. So clearly, we're talking today about our little intensive outpatient program. Our outpatient clinic is just delivering regular mental health services to the community at large. Our FACT program, I think, which will be on in a couple of weeks, which is our innovative program that's dealing with young moms with young children. But I know some of our early Head Start kids come from the FACT program. And then some of our little IOP kids are also from the FACT program. Right. And, of course, our early Head Start program. And our shelter outreach services, which is to some degree, our second large program where we're working with homeless women and children.
Which is where our little IOP and early Head Start kids are coming from.
Yes. So, there's really the full continuum of services that we're delivering. And then, of course, the CHIP program, which is where we're encouraging and enrolling our families, our homeless families, in All Kids Insurance program. And then, of course, the therapeutic schools, which Jonah just called, which was great. And then on the bottom, which you can barely see, is our autism program, which is one of our newest programs. I'm going to show some other pictures of our children doing what they do. How many children do we have in the program?
We average about 20 to 22 children. We can take up to 24.
And what is the ratio? How much staff to students?
We have a 4-to-1 in all intensive outpatient programs, adult to child ratio.
And I think, the level of support that they require, we do have professional staff that can respond when the children become agitated.
Definitely. But there's on-call staff to come and help support in the milieus at all times.
And what type of specialized training do the staff need in order to be able to respond to the children when they do become behaviorally aggressive, which sometimes they do.
Right. Well, we all go through restraint training, a method called Handle with Care, which is actually considered a very safe method to keep children safe, hopefully help de-escalate them before they even get to the point that they need to be restrained or held. But sometimes when they're not safe and out of control, we do have ways to hold them and keep them safe, which is actually usually pretty comforting. When you're feeling out of control, being held can sometimes really help soothe a kid.
Oh, that's for sure. I love this picture. I always think he's holding an egg, but that's a plastic egg or something, right?
Ping pong ball?
I think it's a ping pong ball.
Yeah.
Is there a waiting list for the program?
There is a waiting list. Right now, we have a lot of children moving in and out of the program, so I always have a running waiting list, but it's not a long waiting list right now. We're definitely open to taking referrals from the community or other agencies in the area. And we always are looking for that because unfortunately, some of our population is very transient. A lot of our families still are in crisis some of the time, and we do lose families from time to time. We do everything we can to keep them in the program, but we want to keep as many children getting these services as possible, so we don't like to have a lot of downtime in between waiting to find other children to be in our program.
Is there an opportunity for specialized assessments while the children are with us?
Well, we do have a psychologist that works on staff who does help us identify any specific needs, possible learning delays or learning disorders, helps figure out if we have the right diagnosis for a child, and really helps plan and focus our treatment. So that's a nice added part of our program.
And then I know we have a speech therapist that also works with the program.
Right, yes. We have a contracted speech therapist who works with a lot of our kids because a lot of our kids are coming in primarily for their social and emotional delays, but there definitely have been a lot of children behind in speech as well who have really benefited from those kind of services.
Well, I'm monitoring the time, and we probably have time for one more phone call if anybody wants to call. The number is 312-738-1060. Again, my name is Susan Reyna Guerrero, and I am CEO of Beacon Therapeutic. I'm here today with Teresa Valak, the Early Childhood Clinical Manager at Beacon Therapeutic. Do you have any final thoughts or ideas that you'd like to share? What would you say are some of the biggest strengths of the program?
I love early interventions because it's a time when children's brains are still growing, who they are is still growing, they're becoming who they're going to be in their future. And so if we can get to children at that time before they've discovered the world and formed their opinions of it and really changed the way they look at things, I feel like their future is so bright and we can make so many important changes, which is why working with the Early Head Start 0 to 3 and the Little IOP 3 to 5 is so exciting. They're still going through so much development and growth that we're making an impact right at that critical time period.
I think what I'm always amazed when I see our little guys is the sense of hope and optimism in their face. But I think what's also the reality is not underestimating the level of trauma that some of our little kids have been exposed to. And I think something that I find so powerful in the work that you're doing is that offering these little kids an opportunity to develop an attachment to someone other than their parent, but also a connection that they can rely on in a safe setting. And I think for our kids, that's so important. So there were some pictures earlier we were showing, we give them breakfast, we give them lunch. Many times they're able to participate in some of that meal preparation, providing the opportunity for the mothers and the children to actually have some parent-child time when we realize what these families are going through, that they're perhaps in a shelter and mothers can't control their meals and they can't really play in a safe setting. I think that's really wonderful what you're doing. I thank you for being with us today. We will be here again next week. I must admit I don't know who our guest is, but I would like to post our contact information. There's actually a few more pictures. Our contact information. We have our 4 different locations. I'd also like to post our website information and our motto. In all of our programs, our motto is to empower lives and change futures. And I would like to also put on here that we will be on again next week, 4:30. I'm not sure again who our guest is, but I look forward to seeing everyone again. And thank you, Teresa, for joining us. And thank you very much. Any final comments, thoughts? No?
No. Come and support Beacon.
Okay.